Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanam Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Stadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Narayanam Gurum Vande Sharanyam Bhakta Bandhavam Gaura Manubhistam Purnam Radha Dasyam Pradayakam Rupanugacharya Varyam Rupamanjari Preshtakam Patita Pavana Bandhavam Yugacharya Narayanam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Tuise Namaha Shama Sundara Shikanda Shekara Izmirahasar Murali Manohara Radhikara Sikamam Kripanide Swapriya Charana Kinkarim Kuru Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vrindaye Tulasi Devyai Priyaye Keshavascha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavatyai Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramu Ramo Ramo Hare Hare. So first of all I begin offering my most humble obeisances to the dust of the lotus feet of Paramaradatama Sri Guru Pada Padma Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Paribrajacharya Ashtotara Sata Srimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj Srila Gurudev, and to my most worshipable Shikshan Sannyasa Guru Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Paribrajacharya Ashtotara Sata Srimad Srila Bhakti Vigyana Bharati Goswami Maharaj, and to all Shri Rupano Gauriya Guru Varga, to all Tridandi Sannyasis, Brahmacharis, Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis, and to all the assembled devotees here today, my most respectful obeisances. So by causeless mercy of Srila Gurudev and all Mahabhagavatas Acharyas, we are able to assemble here one more time. So continue reading from Sri Gopi-gita, verse number 8, the commentary of Srila Gurudev. So the last time we read the first part of the commentary, we end up when Srila Gurudev was explaining that if the beloveds, they speak openly about their feelings for each other, love will diminish. So if someone says, I love you, I cannot live without you, then the beauty of that sentiment vanishes. Then Gurudeva says, such love is third class love. But even though Shri Krishna, he is the Nayaka, as he's the hero, he wants to be the first to hear the gopis speak this type of charming words. Means expressing their true feelings from their heart, and making clear to Krishna that they want to be with him. But at the same time, the gopis, they also want to hear these words, because although these words make love diminish, still the first impression of those words are very sweet, are very pleasing. Of course, everyone wants to hear that someone loves you, someone really wants to be with you, cannot live without you. This is pleasing. This is nice. Therefore, both are expecting each other to say, but no one is saying, because they know that after that, the result won't be so good. At first, there is a good result, but later the result won't be good. So therefore, no one is saying, but both sides wants to hear that, because everyone wants to hear that someone loves you, someone wants to, spend whole life with you, right? So in this way, these words are like nectar, and both sides want to drink these words like nectar. So after welcoming the gopis to Vamshivat and addressing them as greatly fortunate, Mahabhaga, Shri Krishna asked them, Priyam king karavani va, what may I do to please you? This mood here seemed in contrast to the words he spoke next. That was Rajani Esha Ghora Rupa, Ghora Sattva Nishevita, Pratyatta Brajam Neha, Stayam Strivi, Shu Madhya Maha. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:29-19. The night is quite frightening, and frightening creatures are lurking about. Return to Braj, slender waisted girls. This is not proper place for women. The external meaning of his words is this: you should go. The night is fearsome, Ghora, and there are many ferocious creatures, Ghora Sattva, roaming about. According to the rules for the conjunction of the letters in Sanskrit grammar, this can also have the opposite meaning. The night is not at all fearsome, Aghora, and the animals are not even slightly ferocious, Aghora Sattva. The learned gopis understood that Krishna's words had two meanings. You must go and you must not go. As always, we have seen around these verses we have already read that always there are these two types of uh, like opposite meanings. It is the mood of the person speaking that determines the meaning of his words. And for this reason, Krishna assumed the mood of gravity in an attempt to show his seriousness. Even so, the gopis understood that he wanted them to stay. They felt he is indirectly begging something from us. He is speaking something in our favor. They waited there thinking he should tell us directly what he wants. So that we had already discussed. The way to speak, the proper mood of speaking, will determine what is the real intention of the messenger, right? We read before that Gurudev gave the example of you are a thief. No, you are not a thief. Uh, or you are not a thief means you are a thief. I know you, right? So now gopis, they become like hesitant. They hear Krishna saying go away, but at the same time it can mean stay. And now they're just waiting to see what Krishna will speak next. In Srividagda Madhava 5.31, Srila Rupa Goswami cites an example of Shri Krishna openly revealing his desire. Krishna told Srimati Radhika, Kattora bhavamridi vapranastvam masi radhike astidnanya chakkurasya chandralekam vinagati. O Radhika, you may be harsh or gentle. Your face may express a sweet mood, or it may express a mood of sulky anger. In your sulky anger, you may not listen to me, even if I offer my head at your lotus feet and beg you to stay here. Instead, you will ready yourself to leave. Whatever you may do, O Radhika, you will always be my life and soul. There is a bird known as Chakur, who only drinks the rays of the moon. If it could not drink the moon rays, the bird would die, for the moon is its life and soul. In his prayer to Srimati Radhika, Krishna was comparing himself to that bird. In his Stavamala, Srila Rupa Goswami expresses a similar mood. Virachaya mai dandam dinabandhu dayam va gatir iha na bhavata kachid anya mamasti nipatatu shatakotir nirmalam vanamam bas tadapi killa payoda stuyate chatakyana. O Lord of the poor, you may do what you like with me. You may give me mercy, or you may punish me. In any case, I have no one to look to in this world beside your lordship. I am just like the Chataka bird, who always prays for the cloud, regardless of whether that cloud showers rain or throws a thunderbolt. The meaning expressed here is this: although I am dishonest and my behavior is nefarious, I have no goal but to attain you. I am like the Chataka bird who watches lovingly the clouds in the sky. Sorry, longingly the clouds in the sky, equally regardless of the threat of a very dangerous thunderbolt or the promise of a sweet, thirsty quenching drops of Rohini Nakshatra rain. So Rohini Nakshatra is the constellation, and that bird will only drink that rain which falls when the Rohini Nakshatra is visible in the sky. In this same mood, Krishna would tell Srimati Radhika, whether you are in a contrary mood or a submissive mood, you are my very life and soul. He would utter enchanting words like these to the gopis. And now, as they search everywhere for him, they recall how gently, softly, and sweetly he spoke to us. It is stated in the previous chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, Gatyanuraga smita vibramikshiter manoram malapa vihara vibhrame. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:30.2. As the cowherd women remembered Lord Krishna, their hearts were overwhelmed, and by his movements and loving smiles, his playful glances and enchanting talks, and by the many other pastimes he would enjoy with them. Next verse of Bhagavatam. Gati smita prekshana bhashan nadishu priya priyasya pratiruda murtaya aswaraham tvitiyavalas tadatmika niya vidishu krishna vihara vibhramaha. Because the beloved gopis were absorbed in thoughts of their beloved Krishna, their bodies imitated his way of moving and smiling, his way of beholding them, his speech, and his other distinctive features. Deeply immersed in thinking of him and maddened by remembering his pastimes, they declared to one another, I am Krishna. So when gopis were waiting for Krishna, they were like enacting to each other uh, the way Krishna used to behave. And they used to perform many type of drama plays. Krishna killing demons, Krishna subduing Kaliya, Krishna lifting Giriraj Govardhan. All these pastimes they used to enact to each other in order to make them feel Krishna's presence over there. And everyone felt, I am Krishna, means I can I can reflect exactly his moods. I can enact exactly as if he was here. These verses describe some of the symptoms of the gopis. The true sadhaka does anusarana of their moods, which means that he serves Sri Krishna under their guidance. There are two words in this connection: anusarana, which means to follow, and anukarana, which means to imitate. We want to follow, not to imitate. According to our ability and our level of spiritual qualification, we want to be able to follow those who are superior to us in bhakti. We do not wish to merely imitate them. This is a very important point for us sadhakas. These two concepts, anusaranam means to follow, and anukaranam means to imitate. We Gauriyas in Saraswata Parampara, we always endeavor to follow our acharyas, anusarana. But the Sahaja camp, for example, they will always try to imitate. They will try to do anukarana. They will try to imitate the exalted behavior of Mahabhagavatas, Avadutas, and as well as the Nityasiddhas also. So therefore they are called Sahajiyas. Sahajiya, the word Sahajiya means also imitating. Hmm. So in this way, we should always try to follow, not to imitate. Hmm. For example, we should not imitate the way our Gurudev wears a turban, the way he walks, or the way he carries a stick. And that I can remember, you know, one of the GBC gurus, he started using like a walking stick like Srila Prabhupada. Maybe you remember his name. He was in jail for some time for many like nonsense things, and he was trying to like um, mimic Srila Prabhupada, no? Imitate like. We need not have the type of car he has. Hmm. Or the fact that he has a motor car in Vrindavan, another one in Mayapur, and others in the West. There is no benefit in imitating him by wearing eyeglasses with the same golden frames as his. Rather, we aspire to follow our Guru's teachings according to our qualification. So, in a type of society where gurus have no spiritual realizations, they have no proper renunciation, they will always be focusing on the external elements, in the way of dressing, the way of addressing, of speaking to others, and they always try to praise their audience, praise their disciples, because he knows that if he won't be polite, no one would stick around, because no one is there because of his bhakti, but because of the facilities he's providing to them. And these days, interesting, these things came out now because I was reflecting upon something about Srila Gurudev these days, from one lecture I gave last weekend, is that Srila Gurudev, he was never interested in treating everyone like a child. Perhaps you have noticed that nowadays I mean to say from 15 to 10 years, uh, society are like treating everyone just like a child, you know, speaking in a very infantile way to adults, you know, like teachers are speaking for like university students just as if they were child, you know, politicians are speaking to their public as if they were like childs, you know, in type of what to say, um, kind of exciting mood, you know, which is there to like encourage like a child. Now, for example, Keshav, Bhadra Keshav, he's now like maybe 3 years old, na? 3 years, na? So 3 years old, he needs excitement, he needs stimulus, he needs encouragement. And the language of the child is that if he does something nice, you have to reciprocate in that level. And you have to say, wow, that's amazing. Wow, great. You know, do it again. Let me see. Wow, you are like, my darling, this and that. You know, we see people growing up and becoming teenager, becoming adult, becoming old, and treating others like this and being treated like this. It became like a type of fever in society, you know, the way like people are becoming immature, you know, in their behavior. They're not growing, you know. I'm not sure if that is done purposefully, but this is like in general, like in common. And therefore people are becoming very sensitive, like emotional sensitive. You can't speak anything, you know, like slightly serious, they think, oh, he doesn't like me, or he's a heavy person, or he's not this, he's, and it becomes like very difficult, you know. But what is the mood of Shila Gurudev? Very grave, gambhir. Hmm. Gurudev never speaking to us like if we are like child, like 2 3 years old child. He never like need to becoming like, always praising his disciples, you know, just like for what? We are there because of his bhakti, because of his true love, not because of his display of, affection, his display of, tolerance. Nothing like that. So we see these things. When Guru has no bhakti, he'll go to that side, emotional side, like relationship side, solving problems, stress management, all these things. Because otherwise, how he can catch the people? And then instead of teaching pure bhakti, he become like a psychologist. Hmm. Recently, I gave a lecture in Portuguese. Like every Saturday, I have like common subjects, common topics, like worldly, like common topics for discussion for like new people. And one of the lecture I gave was guru or psychologist. It means, are you are you in need of a guru or a psychologist? Because most of the people are in need of psychologists, and the so-called gurus, they act like psychologists. Mm. Either because they don't have the qualities of guru, they have no bhakti, or because they just are taking advantage of people's, what to say, people's necessity, people's like, condition. And that is not bhakti. That is not Mahaprabhu's movement. Mm. So in this way, Srila Gurudev is saying this here very, very clear. Mm. Okay, let's continue. Rather, we aspire to follow our Guru's teachings according to our qualification. The two verses above describe the gopis' remembrance of their beloved Krishna. The word gati indicates their reminiscence of his attractive way of walking. The gopis had seen his charming threefold bending form when he stood under the shade of a kadamba tree, his back leaning against it, and they now remember how he smiled as he called them by playing an ambrosial melody on his flute. With his eyes, he revealed everything he wanted from them at that time. That also remembers me that we do like this also about Srila Gurudev. Yeah? When we are together, we remember Srila Gurudev, and we know Gurudev. He used to speak like this, like that, and someone who is good at, like um, imitating, the way of his, and they can reproduce like, in the same way. That is very enlivening. But that's a different type of imitation. This is like a momentary imitation, and for the sake of subduing the pangs of separation. Hmm. Like stopping the pain of separation. But these other type of imitation, that is like all the time imitating, trying to like um, duplicate that personality as if you are like a copy of that, and this is totally um, wrong. So the gopis say, we saw you and we became bewildered. Now we do not know what to do and what not to do. As conditioned souls, we can speak about Krishna's smile, but a gopi who has actually seen that smile, especially as Krishna glances toward her, can realize the nectar hidden there. The gopis saw with their own eyes how he walked and how beautiful he looked. And at that time, they considered, Krishna certainly wants us to give him our entire body, mind, and heart, and all that we possess. They were ready to give him whatever he wanted. And that is why, in the second verse of Gopi-gita, they refer to themselves not only as maid servants, but unpaid maid servants, Ashulka Dasika. Krishna had acquired them without any payment. As mentioned above, in the Srimad Bhagavatam 10:30.2, the gopis referred to Krishna's conversation with them as Mano Ram Malapa, meaning conversations that charm the mind. Now, in their Gopi-gita, They remember how they had replied to him when they first arrived at Vanshivat some hours earlier. At that time, Krishna had urged them, leave this place, go back to your homes and serve your husbands. They had replied, we consider you our Guru and a most excellent one. There is no Guru in this world who can give us the instructions you gave. You have told us that we should serve our husbands, and you have given a profound explanation as to why a chaste wife should serve her husband even if he is lame, blind, poor, or bereft of good qualities. These teachings are so beautiful and so marvelous that in our hearts we have determined to make you our Guru. So we should worship you first. They have defeated me, Krishna concluded. I must think of something else to say. The gopis now remember such captivating conversation that at the time they could not appreciate, but how delightful these exchanges were. But after Krishna disappeared from their sight, they began to remember them in various ever fresh ways. They now remember his pastimes with them and everything else about him. Those conversations come to the minds of the gopis in the same way that a scene appears in the inner vision of an artist, who then creates an image of that he has seen. The previous chapter describes how the gopis became so absorbed in Shri Krishna that they began to think that they were actually him. While imitating him, they exclaimed, oh, look, I am Krishna. See how I am walking in such a charming way, and see how I express my love for you. See how I smile and play my flute. Just watch. See how I kill Putana. They were completely absorbed in these moods, and after some time they fainted. Now, in this eighth verse of Gopi-gita, they continue to recall Krishna's enchanting words. As they speak, they are so overwhelmed with bliss that they become disoriented for a while and, and can say no more. When they return to external awareness, they continue. Oh, how beautiful it was when we became bewildered by Krishna's words. Where have these words come from? Water comes from the ocean through the clouds, because the ocean has the power to generate all the nectarian waters that give refreshment and sustain life. It is certain to contain special nectarian potency. Similarly, all the words coming from Krishna's lotus mouth are exquisite, fascinating, and fully imbued with nectar. We have already become enthralled and enchanted by hearing the words emanating from his lips. So, what would happen if we directly drink the nectar from the very reservoir of those words, his lips? We would be bewildered to the point of fainting. We hanker for this. Why does a drunkard not give up the habit of consuming alcohol, but continues to drink more and more? In his inebriated condition, he falls into the gutters and sewers by the side of the road and imagines, I am the emperor of the entire world, or I am blissfully submerged in the waters of the heavenly Ganga. Although dogs come and lick his face, he remains absorbed in his illusory world. He drinks because he again wants to experience a condition of bewilderment. In a similar way, the gopis again yearn to be bewildered. According to the gopis, Krishna's words were so thoroughly imbued with elixir that all living creatures of the world are mesmerized by them. Serpents, deer, birds, and all other species listen to his words and become entranced. When he plays his flute or utters any words, the cuckoos stop their singing to listen, and all the male and female parrots become spellbound. Just like sages in meditation, they close their eyes and listen, as do the cows and everyone else. As far as Krishna is concerned, He is pleased to hear the words of his beloveds, especially the words of Srimati Radhika. Her singing is ambrosial, and her speech even more so. With her every utterance, Krishna becomes overwhelmed and bewildered and can no longer play his flute. How sweet are Radhika and her associates! Krishna longs to hear them say, "We yearn to drink the nectar of your lips." The words coming from your lips are captivating. So, how beautiful will be the nectar coming directly from your lips? So, at the time Krishna is watching them, he is like behind the bushes, behind the trees. He's just like hiding himself and he's watching everything. In the praises and prayers glorifying Radha and Krishna, especially those found in Srila Jayadeva Goswami's Gita Govinda, we find examples of alliteration, means anuprasa alankar. So Srila Gurudeva here explains what is the meaning of alliteration. An alliteration is the repetition of an initial sound, usually of a consonant or a cluster of letters, in two or more words or phrase, line of poetry, etc. It is also called initial rhyme. So, for example, in the line Dhira Samire Jamuna Tire Vasati Vane Vanamali, the word Vasati, Vane, and Vanamali all start with the syllable V or V. There are also many examples of alliteration in Srimad Bhagavatam. One such example is in the first verse of Gopi-gita, wherein the first and seventh syllables in each line are the same, thus further refining the cadence of the song and making it more melodic. This sounds so beautiful. Jayati te dikam janmana braja shayata indira shashwadatrahi daita drishatam dikshutavakas tvaidrita shavastam vichingvate. So Lord Shiva has sung marvelously to Srimati Radhika in his Sri Radha Kripaka Takshistavaraja, which is recorded in the Urdhvamanaya Tantra. Makeshwari, Kriyeshwari, Swadeshwari, Sureshwari, Triveda Bharatishwari, Pramana Shashaneshwari, Rameshwari, Kshameshwari, Pramoda Kananeshwari, Brajeshwari, Brajadi, Dipe, Shiradike Namostute. You are the mistress of all kinds of sacrifices, especially of the topmost Yugala Milan Yagya, of all actions, since you are the root of all potencies, Mula Shakti Tattva, and of the mantras uttered at yagyas. You are the mistress not only of the sacrificial offerings presented to the demigods, but indeed of all the demigods, of the words of the three Vedas, and of the enforcement of all scriptural principles. You are mistress of Sri Rama Devi, the goddess of fortune, of Sri Kshama Devi, the goddess of forgiveness, and especially the delightful kunjas in Vrindavan. When you mercifully make your dasi and grant me the qualification to render service in your amorous pastimes with the Prince of Braj, O Srimati Radhika, honor and maintainer of Braj, I offer my obeisances to you time and again. There is something interesting about this ashtakam. It's actually not an ashtakam because it has 12, but it's like a stuti, stava stuti. Srila Gurudeva once he explained that it was actually not spoken by Lord Shiva himself in the sense that he did not compose that. Srila Gurudeva he mentions that uh, Shiva has no qualification for that. Actually, he must have heard from Rupa Manjari. Or he heard from someone who heard from Rupa Manjari. Srila Gurudeva said the way it was written, it is completely the techniques of Srila Rupa Goswami Pad. And all the moods and everything expressed there. This is coming from Rupa Manjari, not coming from Shiva at all. So this is something very, very, very important to know, very like, what to say, not secret, but very, very unknown fact. So this beautiful prayer contains all literary ornaments, including alliteration. If Srimati Radhika hears someone soulfully sing this prayer, she is so pleased that she bestows her mercy upon that person. Another example of beautiful ornamentation is found in Sri Shankaracharya's glorification of the Ganga. Devi Sureshwari Bhagavati Gange, Tribhuvana Tarin Tarala Tarange, Shankara Mauli Virahini Viharini Vimale, Mama Matirastam Tavapara Kamale. The poetry of Srila Rupa Goswami is still more charming than that of Sri Shankaracharya. How beautiful then is the poetry of Srimad Bhagavatam, in which Sri Krishna's own words have come from the lotus mouth of Sri Shukadeva Goswami. In this 8th verse of Gopi-gita, the gopis say, "Your words attract those who are intelligent and learned, Buddha Manogaya." Many Sanskrit scholars know the complexities of Sanskrit grammar, the numerous and diverse dictionary meanings of all letters, words, phrases, and various intricate meters, and can chant all the Vedic hymns and verses, but they cannot understand Sri Krishna's sublime pastimes. When the gopis utter the word Buddha, which means intelligent, they refer to those who are rasik and bhavuk, those who relish the humors of ras. One who can understand the inner feelings of Shri Krishna and the gopis is actually intelligent. Yajantihi sumedha saha. Srimad Bhagavatam says, those who are sumedha, means very intelligent, they worship Krishna in this Kali Yuga through Harinama Sankirtan. And this Mahaprabhu, what he's doing? He's doing Sankirtana Ras. So in the same way, this is one type of Rasik. Rasik meaning of being intelligent, also in this very Kali Yuga. The gopis say that, no, sorry, thus it is the gopis themselves who are intelligent. They are the most comprehending and learned among all living beings, and all living beings in all the universes. No one is equal to them. The gopis say that along with the literary ornamentation, Krishna's speech contains many direct and indirect meanings. The word abhidha denotes the direct meaning of an utterance, whereas the word vyanjana denotes the indirect meaning. The statements Benares is on the Ganga is an example of vyanjana. Benares is not actually on the water of the river, it is by the side of the river. On the other hand, to say they were bathing in the Ganga is abhidha, the direct meaning, because in order to bathe, people actually enter in the water. Similarly, Krishna's every word contains many lovely meanings. These words are sweet. The meanings of his words are sweet, and hearing his words is sweet. Everything about him is so sweet. The gopis address him as Vir or hero. Vir is generally interpreted to mean one with bodily strength, but this is not what the gopis mean. They say, you are Vir because you are fully conversant with the ras, or rasa, with the closed a, rasa. And you can thus satisfy our every desire for us. By hearing your delightful melodious words, we have become your obedient maidservants. We yearn to hear them again, but our more intense desire is to taste the nectar of your lips, from where your sweet words have come. So this is the end of the verse number 8. And Srila Gurudeva, he puts a footnote explaining this word rasa. He said, Raso vai sahara samhye vayam labdha vanandi bhavati. He, Krishna, himself is ras. The integrated form of all mellow field relationships. And certainly, one who achieves this rasa becomes filled with bliss. Taittiriya Upanishad 2.7.1. It's important to explain, I don't know if I did already, but at some point before, but there is a difference in between ras and ras. And commonly, devotees sometimes they mistake both to be the same. Ras with long A and that first, diacritic on the first A, this is related to the loving interaction between Krishna and the gopis in the Rasa Lila. That is specific for Madhura Ras. That is all the, um, what to say, all the different moods, bhavas, anubhavas, sancharis, vyabhicharis, that are expressed in reciprocation within Madhura Ras with the short A. So this rasa with the short A, this is the just what to say, transcendental mellows and the different types of relationships. It means Shantarasa, Dasarasa, Sakhyarasa, Vatsalarasa, Madhurarasa. So these are two different things, okay? And and just to not to miss the chance to refer this meaning of the word Vir to Mahavir, which is my sannyasi name. Krishna is known as Mahavir because he is the greatest Rasik. He is Rasik Shekhar. He is Rasik Shekhar. He is Rasaraj. Therefore, his name has become Mahavir. Not because he is fighting in Kurukshetra, not because he is killing many demons. That is related to that side of the lila. But in Braj mood, in Braja lila, the gopis are saying he is Vir, not because of his physical strength, but because he is fully conversant with rasa. Therefore, he is Mahavir. He is the greatest Rasik. He is Rasik Shekhar. Okay? So, in this way, we will continue next time, beginning with the verse number 9. Hare Krishna.